Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Ed Balls and Susanna Reid discussed Starmer walking a careful line after Trump launched an attack on Iran. Sir Keir Starmer has been slammed by a star on Good Morning Britain for not doing anything after Donald Trump launched a strike on Iran. The ITV breakfast show, hosted by Susanna Reid and Ed Balls, discussed how the world anxiously awaits Iran's response after the US carried out strikes on nuclear facilities in the country. Tehran has vowed to defend itself, and there are now concerns globally about the threat of terrorism, but the UK's Prime Minister has remained somewhat quiet on the matter, which is worrying people across the country. While Sir Keir Starmer has spoken with the US President Donald Trump, with the two leaders urging Iran to return to the negotiating table as soon as possible, critics are saying that he is being careful. Speaking to Ed and Susanna, correspondent Louisa James said, "Keir Starmer, I think, is walking a very careful line here, and you can see that played out in the conversation he had with President Trump last night. We are told that they discussed the actions taken by the US and agreed that Iran should never have been allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. But that has stopped short of Starmer also endorsing that action. At the same time, the two of them also talked about the need to return to the negotiation table, which has been Keir Starmer's position all along." She continued, "So, in other words, the UK agree with what the bunker-busting bombs achieve, but would rather it happened instead through talks. That strategy may hold, for the time being, but there are big unknowns for what happens next." The reporter added that there are worries about British nationals and what the government is going to do about those of them who are in Israel, stuck in the occupied Palestinian territory. She shared, "There's going to be a charter flight put on to help with who the government call vulnerable people and their dependents, but some say that they should have acted sooner." Louisa then passed the report over to David Robinson, who is on the board of deputies at British Jews. He questioned what the UK government are doing as he said that they should have taken action already. He said, "What, I think, a lot of people would have appreciated was a much earlier announcement about even the discussion of charter flights. People wanted that slightly higher level of understanding and certainty to know that we were on the government's radar. People have been saying to me, why aren't they doing anything? Do they not realize that we are in a war zone?" Sir Keir warned earlier on Sunday of a risk of escalation to the Middle East and beyond the region after the US bombed 3 Iranian facilities. He said he wanted to reassure people that we're doing everything we can to stabilize the situation and find a diplomatic solution. Good Morning Britain's audience skews toward the politically engaged and socially anxious. By 8:30 am, social feeds were alight with reactions to the show's segment on the Iran strikes. Hosts Susanna Reid and former Shadow Chancellor Ed Balls, himself known for measured economic policy analysis, opened the segment by outlining the chronology of events and presenting Starmer's quotes on screen. Then, the show's international correspondent, Louisa James, reported live from a British Jewish community centre in North London, where families gathered for emergency briefings on dual nationals stuck in Israel and West Bank territories. Over her shoulder, a bulletin board displayed a hastily printed list, flight options, consular hotline numbers, and coordinates for potential safe houses, an impromptu crisis hub. As James described the government's plans for charter flights to evacuate vulnerable British nationals, the frustration in her voice became palpable. Labour's position has been consistent. Support diplomacy, avoid war, she remarked. But for those stranded in volatile zones, diplomatic nuance offers little comfort. They want action, not statements. The moment crystallized when David Robinson, board member of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, appeared via split screen. With a voice tinged by urgency, he pressed. What I, and many others, would have appreciated was a firmer commitment, a clear plan for evacuation, and recognition that we're in a war zone. People have asked me, why aren't they doing anything? Do they not realize that we are at risk? This sense of governmental inertia is causing real distress. Susanna Reid leaned forward, empathy etched on her face. If the British government had announced earlier that charter flights were being arranged, she echoed, that certainty might have prevented panic. The live studio audience, visible through the glass walls, murmured in agreement. Some nodded, others stared grimly at their screens. In that instant, breakfast television